All right, we're live. Hopefully the comments will show up here. Check here anytime you post. All right, welcome to the channel, guys. Welcome to the channel. It's a little bit different. We've got Matt Stevens here. Is right there. Let me find right there. Right there. That's him on Instagram. He's with Core Med. I've got my link here. It's right there. Text. If you guys want to drop a question, you can drop me a question and text me. Other than that, we're going to talk about optimizing your testosterone, optimizing your performance, and kind of the process. But we'll kind of get kind of a podcast kind of situation with Matt, who's also a brown belt, Jiu-Jitsu meat. So what's your background?
Really, I've got a psychology degree, so definitely didn't expect to.
That's not how you got them years.
No,
psychology.
no. It wasn't talking through anything that way. No, but I went to school. Obviously, just interest, and then when I got done with school, I figured out that I wasn't going to make any money doing what I was interested in.
Yeah.
So went into finance, and a couple of years in that, figured out that wasn't going anywhere, and somehow that landed up in a situation where I got involved in a hormone replacement therapy clinic, which is obviously what I do now. And
yeah.
I guess I've been doing that for about the last 10, 12 years or so at this point, and it's great. I just have the best job in the world, man. Seriously.
So, how many patients? And you got probably some of the most patients that we have.
Yeah, I'm definitely over 700 guys from coast to coast that I work with, guys and girls actually.
So you guys that are watching, the people that I refer to Core, there's probably a lot of you that actually talk to Matt here.
Maybe a couple of them. So.
All right. So walk us through let's just walk us through the process right now. So I send somebody here as a guy, you know the deal, typical stuff, right?
Sure.
Fog.
Yeah.
The things that we've all dealt with. Well, before we get into that, talk about your own story with it.
That is usually one of the first questions. How did I get started in this as a patient myself? And it was about 14 years ago. I got just a random strange sickness. It was almost like a flu kind of a thing. But when I got over the illness, which was a couple weeks later, it was just something was not right. I was dealing with erectile dysfunction like I'd never had before, had zero energy every day. By about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, I just wanted to just go die. And this was going on for months after I got sick and had no idea what the heck was going on. Finally, after going back and forth with several doctors, one of them had enough of a brain to test my testosterone levels, and I was coming back in sub 200.
How old are you?
At that point, I was in my early 30s. I was probably 31, 32. So that was a trigger for me to start looking around for a doctor to do some work with, something like obviously what I do now. But there weren't a lot of these clinics that are open now. This wasn't really readily available at that point, because we're talking over a decade ago, about 14 years ago when I first started looking into this. So talking to different doctors, I finally found one that knew something a little bit more about this and started on a personal program, and ended up a couple years later again having the blessing to get involved in a career, and I've been doing it ever since.
So why do you think getting sick and all that, and like being that young and having that low, what was
the
catalyst?
Well, I had met my now wife at that point, and we had just started dating romantically, and that was pretty embarrassing. Not being able to handle myself, if you will.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I've got to do something about this. That was probably.
Yeah, I mean, but was there a car accident? Was there?
No, again, it was a random illness. Again, very much like a flu kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And I just kind of never recovered. I never had a doctor that was able to tell me exactly what from that sickness triggered this, but it's like my body just decided at that point, because of that illness, to stop producing testosterone at a decent
level. So it just wreaked havoc on your endocrine system.
It just messed with me in a bad way, and I just never recovered. So
yeah.
So it was either start on something like this and look into a hormone replacement program, or basically be 90 years old for the rest of my life. So
just be miserable.
It's awful.
Yeah, and it affects. We've seen that it affects your professional life. You don't do as much in business if you're not. God forbid you're being an entrepreneur. You're not going to be able to move the needle forward at all.
Sure.
Anyways, and then going on from there. So as we're talking through this, guys, the number's right there. You can drop a comment. I'll try to look at those. But we also have the text up. So if you want to text me, you can text me a question, and we'll go from there. The gel doesn't work. Go straight to the needle every 6 weeks. Okay, let's get into that. Let's get into the protocol here and the way that you hit my link. It goes into the form filler, and then what?
Gets routed over to one of the patient coordinators, which is what I do for the company. We reach out to you, talk to you a little bit more, get an understanding of what's going on with you, and let you know a little bit more about the process just in general. And if you're ready to move forward, we get you set up for your initial blood draw. The blood draw the doc does is
and this can be anywhere.
Yeah.
You can be anywhere in the United States.
Yeah, we work generally with LabCorp, and there's LabCorp offices almost everywhere. But even if there's not a LabCorp close, we can make some arrangements for you. But that blood draw that the doc pulls is super extensive, and it's really, really going to unlock and open up a lot of doors for the doc to be able to answer a lot of questions and figure out what's going to be the best protocol for you. But again, the blood draw is the first step. Once that comes back, then we line up a teleconference call with you and one of our medical team, generally the nurse practitioner or the physician's assistant. But one of the medical team will get on and talk to you a little bit more in depth about what they see, what they think the doctor is going to recommend for you, and answer any questions that they can for you at that point. They meet with the doctor next to get a final full breakdown of everything. Then it all gets dumped back in my lap. I send you a nice, beautiful little wrapped up package email that's got copies of your test results for your records. It's got all the programs that are going to be made available for you, the prices that are affiliated with each of those programs. Then we catch back up, talk about them, figure out what's going to work for your budget, and then proceed forward from there.
So, and it's not always straight to testosterone, right?
Not every time.
Not every time. It's an individual basis based off what's going on with them. So
some guys don't want to start with testosterone. They want to see if they can do something with their natural levels. Yeah. And doc listens to that. He will put together those type of programs for you if that's where you want to go initially.
I'm going to add this. The gel doesn't work. Go straight to Nebido. I'm thinking needles every 6 weeks. What's your thought on the gel and
it didn't personally work for me because I started that way, and I do know a lot of guys that have the similar stories where the topicals didn't work for them. They didn't absorb very well. So it doesn't always end up in that situation, but doc does realize that the vast majority of cases people are going to do better on an injectable medication. But there are some people that are just petrified of needles and want to do everything they can to stay away from that. So we have the other options.
And I know a lot of females, premenopausal females, the gel does work well for them.
Yeah, and in some cases, but then there are some females that prefer the injectable. So we make that available to them as well. So
what about the? I saw the thing. This is one thing that I talk about a lot. Is like the VA will give you say 0.25. So that's like what? That's 50 milligrams every 3 weeks. And he just said that Weston has said every 6 weeks. What is that like? Can you educate me on like what does that really do? 'Cause it actually causes more harm than good, right?
Yeah, it's putting you on a hormonal roller coaster ride. Most half-life on most testosterones is about 2 weeks. Some people will get a little bit more out of it. But if you take a very small injection, because you have to think about it just like one of those charts and graphs that you saw all through school. You hit the first couple of days and you peak out, and then you come back down off of that as your body's eating off of that surplus. Well, your body stops producing your own natural at that point in time, and it's using that surplus, and it's relying on that surplus that you're giving it. So if you go up and you're only getting a shot every 2 to 3 weeks, once you get past the peak where you've gone through the majority of that surplus, you're operating on fumes. It's like, trying to run your car with an empty gas tank. It's just
So
not
then
gonna
why
work.
are they doing that? Why are they?
It absolutely doesn't make any sense. But the only reason I've ever been able to really sort of ascertain, doctors don't know that much about it unless they've actively studied it.
Yeah.
It's not
So it's an
something they
education
were
thing.
really. It's not something that doctors were taught in medical school 20
Right.
years ago. So if you deal with a doctor that's in his 40s or older, he probably didn't know anything about this stuff unless he took an active interest and learned something about it, or she. But in those situations, they're trying to use the least amount of medications possible, and there's a lot of doctors that don't know much about it that are afraid to prescribe an anti-estrogen to go with it.
Right.
So if and to give somebody an adequate amount of testosterone so they're not having to give themselves injections so often, that it's a good pairing with an anti-estrogen to keep conversion at minimum, keep side effects at minimum. And the only thing I can think of is that you're just afraid to prescribe anti-estrogens. It's just not something that's a one and done either. You really have to take an individual approach with each person that you work with. And I think most doctors that are out there, most general practitioners in particular, they don't have the time to deal with that. You're in and out of their office.
That's what I like about Course. Everything is so personalized. Everything is so, down to like just even what you're dealing with in life.
Yeah.
Cortisol levels. So this is another one, and I hear this talk a lot about, and I know you probably have dealt with this in the past, but SARMs. Bad, good, illegal. Obviously a lot of stuff's illegal, but like, where does something like
since
that?
I'm not a lawyer, I'm gonna stay away from the legality end of it. But I'll tell you that SARMs in some cases act like and give you results like anabolics without being in the anabolic category. So people that are trying to get a little bit more of an edge in one capacity or the other, trying to get a little edge on weight loss, or they're really driven and they like to get as much out of their workouts as possible, or they're trying to add a little bit more strength to the profile. There's different things that are out there trying to just get a little better overall results than just your vanilla everyday type of a protocol. This is something that they can add in.
Is there anything that maybe that's not in that category, but something like that Core does to help facilitate health?
Sure. Because again, if you've got somebody, just for example, that's trying to,
like our weight loss protocol,
yeah,
right?
Yeah, and one of the
that,
medications
right?
that's part of that, that can be part of that, if you've got somebody that's doing those cardio-based workouts. One of my favorites is that GW501516 oral capsule. It really helps enhance your cardio. So if you're doing those cardio-driven types of workouts, you're going to get more out of them. You're going to see quicker weight loss, quicker fat loss, and you're going to be significantly healthier. And that's, again, just one of them, for example, that we see a lot of people interested in, for sure. So
excellent. Here's a good one I'm going to throw up. I've tried to start the conversation with my personal doctor, but he wants me to take a sleep study. I've had my blood work done and didn't get my T numbers. Feels like he's dodging me. I'm 43.
Okay, so Jeff sees something that, like I was talking about a minute ago, a lot of doctors that really don't know a lot about this, but they don't want to admit to you that they don't know much about it, because doctors, minus the God complex in some cases, they feel like they have to know everything, and every question has to be answered, usually right then and there. They're specialists in everything, every type of doctor across the board, and there's just no way every doctor can know every single thing. Find a specialist, find somebody, a hormone replacement specialist, and go get your blood work done.
What's crazy to me is, like, you go to a hand specialist, right? You go to a knee guy. Yep. You go to an orthopedic surgeon. So why wouldn't you go to a hormone specialist?
Exactly. You
know what I mean? So hit in the description of this link. I will have. It's actually probably already there. I'll have the. I keep looking over here. Sorry, guys. I'll have the my link, and you can put it out, and then one of these guys are calling. I think your number is actually on there.
It may be on.
Yeah, I think your number. I'm gonna pull it up right now. I think your number is actually on the website itself. Let me pull it up. Is that yours right there?
That is my cell phone right there. Yes,
so
is.
if you go to if you go to my in the description, you go to my link for core. You can just fill out the thing.
Text me, direct me, and definitely can do that if you'd like to, because my cell phone number's right there. I try to be readily available as long as I'm awake, and I get right back in touch.
You guys crushed this thing. Let's see what else we have here. Try to start the conversation. Got him. See, this is where the conversation kind of comes into play with like the, what is it called?
This is where the Fed comes in.
Because people talk about me, they're always like, Nick, oh, he's just like juiced up on steroids. I'm like, dude, I'm 195 pounds. I was 240. Now I'm 195. Like, I'm not juiced up on anabolic steroids. I'm on bio. So can you break the difference down?
So when people talk about steroids, they're usually talking about whatever they can, and usually the conversation leads to what guys will have gotten over the years in the gym.
Right.
The meathead mentality.
Right.
What we do with testosterone, we do therapeutic levels. I mean, we're not going to be a perfect fit for every single person, but also there's going to be some federal oversight in what we can do and what we can't do. And unfortunately, not every anabolic is available for us. And there's a lot of things that when they streamline this industry and the Fed basically sort of set some parameters as far as how this is going to work, there's some things they kind of took away from us. It's not a cowboy industry like it was when I first got involved as a patient originally. So there are some things that we can do and some things we can't. But of course, we'll go through all that with you, and there may be some other options to help you get to a fitness and health goal that don't involve anabolics. And obviously, that's where knowing more of the particulars of your situation is going to be really important.
Yeah. So this VA started me on testosterone patches. So this is absolutely amazing. Thanks for that. So yeah, so keep talking to them, and then by any means, if you need a second opinion, reach out.
If you're
because they don't want to do because I know the VA and a lot of my buddies that went to the VA and they did that 0.25 every 3 weeks. They feel good for feel good for a week, and then it'd be like right back down, and then they're crashing. Yeah. So, anyways,
but yeah, if you're seeing some good results with a program that you're on, I mean, if it's doing a good job for you, then continue to do it. You don't necessarily have to try to find something bigger and better. If you're doing well with something, ride the wave. So,
this is a good one right here. At what ages do you see generally in low test levels should consider TRT?
Age, I will say, age can really vary. Sometimes guys will have
based off trauma, especially in our
onset,
community.
And that's where I was actually going with that. Early onset, I mean, guys, sometimes even in their 20s. But typically, what I can say with the early onset, the more stressful situations and stress a person has been through, it seems to be a really major contributing factor to why the body ages significantly faster. And it's not just testosterone, but it's across the board. Stress is obviously the biggest killer, and we all know that. But this is a very
stress, cortisol itself, or stress itself can over time.
Absolutely. Stress is one of the things, and it seems to be a high stress situation. It seems to be one of the main reasons guys again see that early onset of a hormone drop off of production. And it's not just testosterone; it's growth hormone and a lot of other natural hormones that will fall off because of high stress situations. But sometimes guys are in their 60s and 70s and still have 700-800 testosterone levels. So there's no recipe across the board. You just have to monitor yourself, and the symptoms are all out there. You can pull up signs and symptoms of low testosterone on any web browser, any search engine, and you're going to get a whole laundry list. And if you start to notice when you're looking through that laundry list that you're checking off like multiple ones of those, go get the blood testing done. You're not locked in or committed to anything. At least you can see what's going on with yourself. And if nothing else, I did a blood test at 40, and everything still looked good at that point. So 45 comes around, let's do another blood test. Then you have something to compare it to. You have a baseline from 5 years ago to compare it to see where you were, and that can actually be very helpful for a doctor as well. So
I actually like that. I wish I would have gotten my blood tested from like when I joined the military. From the time I was like 18, and then every year and just watch and then pre and post deployment. watch what my hormones do, you know, as I'm aging and as I'm doing all those different jobs.
Well, male hormone replacement. We've heard about female hormone replacement for years because women have been on different types of protocols because of menopause and things like that. Such an outward symptom that it's been around for decades and decades. Men's hormone replacement is brand new. This thing is cutting edge right now. But what they have figured out already is the sooner you can catch these things and try to start treating them, if you do have a hormone deficiency, the sooner you're probably actually going to put yourself in a place to live longer. You're able to fend off things like heart issues, prostate issues. The sooner you catch these things and get on a treatment program. So again, there's definitely a lot more to be said than just trying to look good in the gym. It's definitely something that can have some bearing on how long you live for sure, and the quality of life you're going to lead. So
nice. And this is one. Been on HRT for about a year. I believe the culprit was my sleep apnea, which of course will have an effect on it. So that's true. HRT has changed my life. Taking T weekly, estrogen blocker, and cycle of ACG, which is pretty much
sounds like a solid protocol.
That's the standard protocol. That's that's what I'm on. Yeah. This is an interesting one. Edema. I've never heard of anything associated with HRT.
Swelling, like lower leg swelling and things like that.
Yeah.
Swell a bit. Yeah, it comes and goes.
My question would be weight, but
sometimes the edema is because they need to make some adjustments to the supporting meds in some cases, but there also can be some signs of some other health issues that are affiliated with it. Poor circulation and some things like that. So you probably should actually go talk to your doctor about it and maybe get some additional testing done. Chances are it's not something that's serious, but you'd rather definitely be safe than sorry in a situation like that for sure.
Yeah. Well, I think that this is so one of the things, and he's not going to answer now, but I'm going to tell you guys right now. So in December, I think like December 31st, I'm going to start doing this jiu-jitsu challenge, which I'm going to do 60 sessions in 30 days at Crest. And so I'm going to work with these guys to come up with a protocol to help me
survive.
Survive.
Yeah.
Survive. Yeah. Keep my blood moving.
Yeah.
You know, because things like that I'm going to have to worry about as a white belt, because I've been at it a year. Injuries, you know, recovery.
Sure.
Because I mean that's
a lot of lactic acid.
Yeah, so it's gonna be like 2 days, some days 3 days to be able to incorporate a rest day.
Yeah.
So, but the goal is 60 sessions. I saw another guy over in the UK. He was a purple belt though, and I think he's in his 50s, and I think he tried to do 60. He ended up with 52 in 30 days.
Wow, that's crazy still though.
Yeah, 52 in 30 days. So.
You might as well just bring a pillow and a blanket and just sleep on the mat.
Just sleep there.
Yeah.
So that's going to be the goal. We're going to try to do 60. I've already talked to Tyler. You know, we're putting a plan in place. I will be documenting everything. I'll be working with these guys on initially right out the gate. I think definitely glutathione. Yeah, let's talk about that before we go. Like, what is glutathione? I think that any veteran listening out there, if you call Core and simply get some blood work done just to get a 30-day supply of glutathione to clean out your organs, I mean, life-changing. I was able to breathe for the first time in what felt like 8 years. So what is that? What is this?
It is your number one personal antioxidant. Your liver being your biggest filtrating organ in your body, your liver also creates glutathione a little bit continuously to get rid of the garbage that it filters out of your blood. And what the glutathione does is just pushes all that garbage out of your system. It keeps everything refreshed and renewed, and it affects so much more than just your liver. I mean, if your biggest filtering organ is optimized and it's working at a tip-top efficiency, it's going to trickle down to your metabolism, how well you can burn fat, weight, mental clarity. It's just crazy how much it affects. We give you a version, obviously pharmaceutical grade version that you can inject, or you can go get it done via IV if you're in a place that you can do that. And the stuff is just amazing. Every ex-pro athlete that I've worked with over the years, they've used this stuff for years in those circles, because obviously everybody knows we take care of our professional athletes. The doctors that they work with all are tip-top cutting edge, and they all use this stuff year round. So it's definitely something other that's it's amazing. It's great for you. There's more and more they're figuring out as far as the benefits of it all the time as well. So definitely a great product across the board.
We have not talked about pellets, but we can.
We personally don't do pellets. Some people love them. Some people hate them. It is a little bit of a process to go through the implantation, and if your doctor is doing it right, you're going to be doing a lot of blood tests for that first year, because everybody metabolizes the pellets at a different rate. So you need to find out not just how quickly you're metabolizing, how much estrogen you're converting when you're dealing with that. So there's definitely some things that they need to keep a really close eyeball on. So if you go in and they put pellets in you and they don't talk to you for 6 months, that's a big red flag in my mind. The first year you're on therapy, if you're looking into pellets, like I said, they really should be doing blood work at a minimum of monthly and taking a look at certain things. And it's a little bit more of a commitment, because it's a little bit more. Your body has to burn through those before they're willing to re-implant again. And they need to see, again, like I said, the quicker you metabolize those, obviously the quicker you're going to have to go back in and do that whole process again. But sometimes an injection once a week can be significantly easier. Small adjustments in the injection amount that you're doing week to week can be a little bit easier to adjust, for sure. But again, that's just me personally. So
here's a good one. Have you guys ever questioned about potential causes for low T? Have you seen and experienced low T drug use, non-steroid related, and earlier in life with people that, I guess, participated in a lot of drug use?
I'm not sure as far as if I've seen like one specific drug, like heroin, for example, and people that would necessarily come off of it and have low T. I'm sure because of the stress that it puts on your body, that again, that could have some bearing, just going back to what I was talking about before with the more stress you put on yourself physically and mentally, how it can mess with hormone production. So I'm sure there's some correlation in there. I'm not sure if I could tell you anything in particular more than that, but I would think that there's probably a good chance.
Just don't do drugs.
Yeah, kids.
Kids, don't do drugs. Yeah. Here's a good one. A test level is 190/20. This is the guy said that HRT has changed his life. Now he's on 1 mil every other week. Anything else I should be doing or taking?
I would say it really depends on a blood panel. Taking a look at some other things that are on there for you. There's probably a number of other things you could do depending on your health and wellness goals, what you've been able to achieve so far. But that would be something that would be an individual kind of a thing. And if I had a very extensive blood report, I could probably at least sort of guide you through, at least based on my personal experience. But at the end of the day, I'm always going to refer you back to the doctor, so and let him put together a protocol for you. So.
Yeah, and if you're not getting the answers, and I tell this people a lot, if you're not getting the answers that you want, hit these guys up and just have a conversation. Have a conversation. You might get a lot. Some of the symptoms make me think. Absolutely. Yeah, if you're I'm going to read through these. Just run through the symptoms, because this guy's. I'll just throw this up there for everybody else to read.
Probably the biggest ones: energy, sex drive, general motivation. Those are probably some of the biggest. Again, mental fogginess and clarity is.
That was for me. Clarity
thing.
And mental fogginess was huge for me, and that's what really changed everything for me was going on, and then it's just like my whole life had a direction all of a sudden. I was just fumbling. I would wake up and just fumble through the day, and then just try to survive through the day.
Yeah, I think that was for me, because I didn't specifically deal with that symptom, but then when I started working in the industry and seeing some of the patients and some of the mental sharpness that would come back with some of these guys after they started on protocols, that was one of the things that was really impressive to me as just an outsider looking inward. I was like, wow, that's pretty amazing how much something like your testosterone levels can play on what your brain does. So
yeah, and this is all, and I cannot stress enough, like, this is not what you guys are thinking about, like steroids in the gym. We're in a doctor's office here. They have a very, very strict protocol on how they take care of people with blood work, with the PA, with the docs, and the whole goal is to get you to be the best version of yourself.
Sure.
Or if you were injured, if you're like somebody like, one of the veterans or first responders, or anybody that's been in a car accident or something traumatic happened to them, the whole goal is to get you to be the best version of yourself that you can be in your current life. Yeah, and we see it time and time again, and people all constantly are saying, "Oh man," and everybody that's on the Agoge. I think half of our tribe with our coaching program at AgogeTraining.com are with Core as well, because we start them out like, okay, let's fix your diet, let's fix your exercise, let's see where you're at, and then let's start looking at your blood. I want to see your blood work. I want to see what your sugars are. I want to see your cholesterol. I want to see everything that's going on, where your hormones are sitting, because now we can level up that too.
Sure.
So, all right. So, drugs are bad. Yes.
Just to reiterate.
Drugs are bad. All right, guys. So that's really it. We'll have. Let's making sure there's no questions here. I think we answered all your stuff. Hit these guys up. Links in the description. If you have any questions, it might just be a question, right?
Yeah. And again, text me directly if you want to feel comfortable, and just let me know you saw me on this, and I'll be glad to run through and give you my 2 cents on anything anytime for sure.
All right. It's another guy from Core. I'm just going to start interviewing everybody from Core. All right, guys. You guys know the deal. Never quit, never surrender, always forward, and we'll see you guys in the next video.
I want everywhere.